Today, Radical Ones, let's take to the field with 1992's Ladybugs, starring Rodney Dangerfield, Jackée Harry, and Jonathan Brandis.
She came over to see Martha. She just dropped in.
What is this, a drag race?
It's time to get radical.
Hello there. It's showtime.
What is this, trick or treat?
Did I do that?
Good morning, Charlie.
Sailor Moon, champion of justice.
Daddy would have gotten us Uzis.
The power is yours.
Get down, honey, get down.
And look, I won't go far, okay? If the apocalypse comes, beat me.
My name is Grace Jones.
Thunder. Thundercats.
Power of 3 will set us free. Power of 3 will set us free. Power of 3 will set us free.
But I ain't one to gossip, so if anyone asks you ain't heard it from me. No, you have?
No more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
Welcome back, Radical Ones, to another episode of the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with Rob, the movie geek himself. Welcome back, Rob.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so before we get into today's topic, we were just talking off camera. Well, Rob, why don't you explain?
Random. Super random. I'm on Instagram. I see a post. It's got Queen Latifah, also a cutout of her character from Set It Off. And then the next video shows her on the Drew Barrymore show, where she brings up to Queen Latifah about a rumor that she has a no-death clause in her contract when she is working. So for those who don't know exactly what that is, there are people out there who are in the entertainment business for doing movies and TVs and stuff, and they can come up with a contract that if you hire them to play a character in your movie or TV show, that you are not allowed to kill their character. And if this is true, and she says that she remembers making it, she doesn't know if it's still valid, but she pointed out that in the 90s, anytime that she was in a movie, she was usually a side character, and those characters would always die.
Well, because like the movies that when I first started doing movies, I always had these death scenes. And Set It Off, I got killed. And Sphere, I got killed. And apparently I died too well. And then I caught on like, wait a minute. If I die in these movies, I can't be in the sequel.
Yeah.
Get my agent on the phone. We will put a no-die clause in these future movie contracts, so I'll never get a sequel.
And I remember this. This was something that I always paid attention to in the 90s when I watched her. It's like every time I saw her, she was so expendable that she kept dying, and I didn't get it. One big one that everyone really knows is Set It Off. If you have not seen this movie, it is amazing. Yes, it does depict Black people and violence and all of that stuff, so be prepared, but at the same time, it is a very good movie on friendship, sisterhood, female empowerment, even though they're considered the villains, but it also shows how society treats Black people when it comes to law, economics, all of that, and it's wonderful. In fact, Set It Off even like inspired 4 women to go out and rob a bank in real life. This was so sad, as if they could do it. But anyways, that is another conversation, because we will be doing that movie.
A Netflix documentary. Oh my god, I would love it. Vivica A. Fox.
Yeah, exactly. On top of that, I don't know if you guys remember these movies. So she also passed away, spoiler alert, in the movie Sphere with Sharon Stone, Dustin Hoffman, and Samuel L. Jackson. She was part of the crew, and apparently they just made an example out of her by her dying from jellyfish. This was so messed up.
This is why I don't like water and aquatic creatures.
Yeah. And then she also passed away in The Bone Collector with Angelina Jolie. I don't remember exactly how she died in there, but at that moment, I was like, this is it. This is the final straw. She needs to stop dying. She needs to get popular, do something so they can stop killing her. It's ridiculous. Now she has a television show called The Equalizer where she was put into danger all the time. And so
my parents parents love that. They're always watching The Equalizer.
Yeah, I watched The Equalizer, and yeah, so it was very interesting to hear this. And you know, the only other time I ever heard of a rumor like this was for LL Cool J. And if you notice, honestly, in H2O and Deep Blue Sea, he should have died the whole time. Like, the whole time. There is no reason that he should have lived through those movies, but he did. And I feel that he has a clause in his contract as well, because just something about it, they just will not get rid of him. They just won't.
You know, it's funny too, Rob. This just came up with one of our radical ones, Cadu. He sent me this clip that Jennifer Love Hewitt said that she told her grandmothers she would never die in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise.
Really?
So this is funny that this is coming up recently with these people. You know what? That's a great clause, though, because your character cannot get killed off then. Like, you don't have to worry about dying.
And unfortunately, none of these movies did make sequels, but that was her biggest thing, is that if you kill her character off, she can't come back in any future installments. And so she was like, stop killing me. Done.
That movie Last Holiday in the 2000s, early 2000s, I think it was. She almost dies in that movie. Like, she thinks that she's dying in that movie. So if we had known about this clause, you would be like, well, no, you're not going to. Well, plus there was a comedy, you know, but besides that point, that was really something. To switch gears to this movie, which this is going to be another doozy radical ones, because there's some things in here.
All those beautiful people in this neighborhood. Hey, let's beautify the neighborhood. And stay indoors.
To get ahead in business.
Good luck. Thanks. Oh, and I'm glad you gave me the right finger.
Sometimes you have to play ball.
Chester, my company sponsors a girls' soccer team.
I'm coaching the Ladybugs. That sort of goes with the promotion, you know?
It's a big office right next to mine, just waiting for a guy like you.
What the hell you know about soccer? You kick the ball down the field into the net. Try and control the ball. Forget the ball. Try and stay on your feet. Oh, I'm off to a great start.
What he doesn't know.
Win the game, win the game, win the game.
Could get him fired.
Get the book, get the book, get the book.
I can't look.
Hey, what are you, a fish?
What he's willing to try.
What?
Could get him arrested.
No, you're crazy, Chester. It'll never happen.
Chester put a boy on a girls' soccer team.
How?
Don't worry. If it's too tight, you'll get used to it. Meet our new ladybug, Martha. Give her a big ladybug reception, all right? After the game, no showers.
Now all of those are going skinny dipping.
I'm here to pick up my daughter, Martha. Get in the car quick. These hills are killing me.
But let the competition beware.
Let them fight. Let's try to win at something.
Nobody plays the field like Dangerfield.
You keep up the good work, this time next year you'll have 10 men under you.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Hey, Dave, can you make it women?
Ladybugs.
All I know is I got a lot of balls.
This is Ladybugs from 1992. This stars the comic legend Rodney Dangerfield, and that comes with a certain brand of humor. They call it self-deprecating one-liners, but there's also this just like, he almost speaks in jokes. Does that make sense?
Oh, I tell you, if she went to a dog show, she'd win.
How would you describe him, Rob? I'm trying to come up with words to, over the years, he was in many things that, you just see growing up. Really, my claim that I really held on with him was Ladybugs.
Yes. He's also very famous for Caddyshack. And he does,
yes.
He does a lot of stand-up comedy. I think Back to School is another one that he is featured in. Sort of like a Happy Gilmore situation where, he just goes back to school as the age that he's at and, tries to hang out with the youngin.
And that cartoon, Rover...
Yeah, Rover Dangerfield, I'm assuming, yes. That's the other thing. He has a very distinctive voice, very recognizable, very unique. So he's always picked to do cameos and voice work. Do you remember how he, popped up very quickly specifically in Casper, the live action one,
Yes,
because there was like
did.
somebody shapeshifted into him or something,
Yes.
and like his voice.
Distinct features too.
Yeah, exactly. So with him, I think a part of his shtick is that he's a man that does not get respect, which explains the last line of this movie.
Yeah, I finally got some respect.
This overall joke, whatever project he's in, it always comes down to him not receiving any kind of respect. And it's either the way that he looks, talks, acts, or how he views the world. But he always has a very sort of like, I don't want to say it's like a scandalous comedic vibe to him. It's just more of sexual jokes and his love his love for women, and the women figure always comes up. Anything can be turned into a sexual joke to him. And even in this PG-13 teen comedy, he does not hold back. He is literally pushing the boundary as far as they'll let him. And, for somebody who is known for that, to even be involved with a teen comedy is a very risky, but, very triumphant thing to achieve. The fact that this movie was greenlit and put out, and, I'm sure it was advertised for teens to see. These jokes were subtle, but they were clear as day. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
We'll definitely get into that. I just wanted to point out this movie was chosen based on its anniversary.
Mr. Anniversary.
I know. Is it their 30th?
We are March 27th of 1992, so...
Yeah, so it's like the 31st anniversary of the film. And yeah, it's
it's a young adult.
Yeah, but I also did bring this up because I think about it all the time, and it used to be one of my favorite movies to watch as a kid. So it was fun to relive this again.
Now, did you rent this? I feel like it was on TV growing up constantly. So I watched this on a revolving, like it would always be on TV. Now I feel like this would be on probably nothing.
You can rent it on Amazon. I believe I did it once, I think 1 or 2 years ago, because I was really just in the mood to watch it. And then I eventually bought it. They have a very, simple Blu-ray that you can buy on Amazon as well. So it is available, but unfortunately, I don't think this movie is for free at all. So the synopsis of this movie is: to climb the corporate ladder to success, a guy agrees to coach the company's all-girls soccer team with the help of his secret weapon, his fiance's son. Now, what they don't tell you in this movie is that it dives right into a lot of the 90s trope plots that you would see, which is they find some way to gender swap, aka cross-dress someone to play the opposite gender to achieve some kind of goal or mission. And this movie does that. So his secret weapon is his fiance's son by dressing him up as a girl to play on the all-girls soccer team. I mean, you do anything to win, right? So you don't see too many of these plots nowadays, but back then there were a lot of them leading into the 2000s. Some movies were a little subtle, more subtle than others. And then you also had to, what's the saying? Disbelief. What is that?
Oh, suspend.
Yes, suspend disbelief, because clearly they do not look like the opposite sex when they dress up at all, right? But you kind of just take their word for it and just have at it. Hey, as long as Superman can put on some glasses and call it a day, y'all should not have a problem with this plot. I'm just saying that right now. Ryan, what do you think about movies like these? Do you remember watching a lot of these gender swap movies back in the day?
Yeah, I feel like it was a staple. I mean, at some point, even when we discussed Ernest, he is gonna dress and gender swap, right? Like, it's gonna happen. So, yeah, and I always ate them up. This was later on, but Martin in, Big Mama's house, like, I ate it up. I don't know what that says about me, but I like these, like, to me, it is funny, like, the humor. But now, would you say She's the Man is probably the last one of these, like, mainstream with this type of plot in the last 20 years?
I believe so. I mean, I would have to look it up. I want to say, did White Chicks come out after or before?
You're right.
So I would say something like that, which supposedly is getting a sequel, I think, still.
Oh, is it?
I think so. If you were to see something something like this happen now, it's usually through magic, possession,
Right.
or, just sort of like visually only by us, but they can't see. So like Hot Chick, Freaky. There are some other ones out there where they do a lot of gender swap stuff. But again, it's done, or even like Jumanji, the new Jumanji with the possession of avatars.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more about acting the character rather than literally looking and dressing up as such. And I like that the transition has gone to that only because of, today's society in accepting more trans community and the queer community as well as like drag queens who make a living off of this, but could also feel that they might be mocked in the way that this type of plot is used. So I think people will have to be kind of careful the way that they view movies like these. But watching this now versus, there's definitely a lot of possibilities that someone from those communities could be offended or represented, different, and there's some of the stuff in here that I want to talk about. We'll try not to keep it too serious, but again, these stood out, I do want to say one thing before we get into this review. Ryan, say it with me. I am great.
Oh, I am great. This is great. Yes.
I am
great. I am wonderful.
Everybody likes
me.
I am great. I am wonderful. Everybody likes me. Stand up. Flip it out.
I am great. I am wonderful. Everybody likes me. I am great. I am wonderful. Everybody likes me.
Sit down.
I did not remember that intro like that, and then when it happened,
as soon as they said it, I remembered the entire thing. The tone, affliction, I matched it all up. I was like, wow, I can't believe I still remember that.
But the mirror part, I don't know if it's because it comes back later. I always remembered that, him staring into that little pocket mirror, and then But oh my god, this is Chester Lee. I love that name because of my late rabbit. I am a sucker for a Chester and a Chesterfield.
My name is Chester. I'm great. I'm wonderful. Everybody likes me. My name is Chester. I'm great. I'm wonderful. Everybody likes me.
But if it's an old time classic comedian from, back in the day would be like, perfect name for this guy.
Most of the time when you see a plot like this, it usually gives the other gender or perspective of the opposite sex to learn a thing or two about themselves, or, if they are a womanizer, then, they learn how to be more sensitive towards women and vice versa. So I still welcome plots like these. I think they're fun to play with. Again, you just have to be very careful not to use this type of comedy to mock someone or be the butt of the joke. But I think it can be very fun and playful depending on, the type of comedy that you make. What did you think of Ladybugs watching it again?
I actually laughed the whole entire time.
I did too. And I hope that I am not offending anybody by watching a movie like this. And there were definitely some problematic jokes, but I laughed so much.
There was some things I was just like, holy crap, only the 90s, like with this BPG-13, like what we got to see, especially so many underage sex jokes and things like that. I was like, holy God, help us.
But back then, when we watched stuff like this, why weren't we banned from this? Why was this okay to watch? Why did we turn out the way we do? And we didn't become buttholes for I don't know. I'm just surprised that we still grew up and didn't repeat or look at this as like the way of life or whatever, because
that one scene, and it's the one, there was all different things with, I call her Allison. Character in this movie is called Kimberly. Okay. Yeah. But when she's running on the field in a bikini, I'm just like, oh my God. But really what got me was when he's in that clothing store and he's with Martha Matthew, which this is the late Jonathan Brandis.
Oh my God, Jonathan Brandis. Ugh. Yeah.
I remember that when that happened. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice to see this role. When they're in the dressing room.
There's a zipper in the back of this dress. You gotta help me.
All right, now turn around. I'll put the wig on.
I'm sorry, but the dressing room is occupied. If you have a seat right over there, I'll have your dress here for you. Thank you.
Isn't that a pretty dress?
Just remember, we gotta be careful. I don't want your mother to find out. She'll kill me.
God, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Don't worry, I'll be finished soon.
Ow! Take it easy, that hurts. Ow!
All right, don't worry. If it's too tight, you'll get used to it. Well, what a cute little girl. And what's your name?
But then he comes out, and I don't know if it's the grandmother or the mother sitting next to this young girl waiting and overhearing this. She just passes out. I'm like, lady, that really helped your kid when you think he just touched this child, and he's just going to touch your granddaughter, and you just faint. Oh my God, this would be cut out in a minute in an airing.
But you know what's also funny about this too is that because of the news and things that we hear lately, my mind also took it a little dark too, because even before that, those two walk in and he goes up to the saleswoman and says, hey, do you have any little young women's
pretty
clothes?
Dress, yeah, like pretty dresses.
And then she responds and says, what size is she? And he turns to Matthew and says, what size are you? And she's very confused.
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to see a nice dress for a young lady.
And what size is she?
What size are you? Well, actually, it's for his twin sister. They're the same size.
We have a lovely print we just got in. It's right here. I think this would be the right size.
Well, I'd like him to try it on. I'd like to see what it looked like on his twin sister.
We have a dressing room right over here.
Now, in the 90s, it would be like, why are you asking him? He's a boy. Who cares? And Chester replies, well, this is for his twin sister. They're the same size. And she just kind of nods and goes about her business and like a sale's a sale. But to be fair, if you take it dark, it's like, is Chester dressing up Matthew in women's clothes for kicks? And you don't think about that at a younger age, but as an adult watching this, like that is it's not problematic as if they shouldn't have the joke. It's like, how do you translate that into funny? Like that is a very difficult thing to try and sell on comedy.
I think you said it perfectly, Rob. When we're kids and we take a joke almost like the level that they want you to in this movie, but when you realize that adults are writing these things and it's like, but at the same time, it's like almost at the time, again, that humor towed the line like that. It was like, this was just like you're saying, nothing. Oh yeah. It might be tight at first. He was talking in that dressing room, when that woman was overhearing them. Oh, it will fit in. It might be tight at first. Meanwhile, he's trying to zip up the kid's dress.
What they were referring to is zipping up the dress and also putting the wig on. And that is what was going on in there. But, the mom took it differently. And then to hear that, so you just kind of have to understand the humor back then. And, if it's funny, it's funny. But to be fair, those weren't the funniest things. Like, go on, Ryan. What was the funniest stuff you were laughing at most of the time throughout this movie?
I might be biased, but honestly, it's Jackée.
Well, we're a team, I helped pick out the wig.
Jackée. Yes, it's Jackée. Jackée Harry is Ladybug. She is this movie. She did not get enough parts. I would have loved for her to have her own storyline as well.
She did. Like, I remembered her being in it more, and I'm like, well, where's Jackée? Like, where is she?
And, I totally get it. It's about this soccer team, and it's about winning and turning these misfits into champions. But Jackée was the ultimate assistant. She was the ultimate assistant coach.
I love that as that pairing. That was so fun.
Yeah, her one-liners, she always was saying things with a lot of zest and attitude, and it just worked. Her comedic timing is flawless, and she's honestly, I want to say, being herself. And she is this movie. She is the reason I watch it all the time. She's the reason I laugh a lot. Just her opening, just when she's in the office.
The dance, the sitting thing.
Yeah. That was it. Right down on it.
Men, they only want one thing. But if they don't want to marry me, they ain't getting that thing no more. Because if I can't sell it, I'm gonna sit right down on it before I ever give it away.
Beautiful. I'd ask for an encore, but I'm busy. It's time to see the man.
She's got a whole thing, a whole song.
But yeah, men, they're only worth one thing. But if they don't want to marry me, yeah, it's just no reason. There's no reason for that song. We're not given any history why she has this history with men, but it is hilarious. It's hilarious.
When she's singing and she's like, home of the, and she keeps going on, break.
Yeah, I'm sure Ryan will post all of this.
Oh God, yes.
Instagram. He cannot wait. Yes. The littlest things she just makes.
Yeah, I'm trying to I wrote so many things. Her sandwich on the field.
Oh God. When she was like, what about your weightlifting class? So I'm doing good. I mean, the sandwich is heavy.
Right, Julie?
That's right, Coach Chester.
Julie, look at the way you're eating. I thought you were getting in shape. What happened to the weightlifting class?
Oh, I'm doing good. I mean, this is heavy.
I was dying. But it was also the way she was eating it, though.
This is a Rob question. How did you think about the way she was eating
That's the hot dog question. That's the hot dog question. That's right, Coach Chester. Just... Oh, my God. Again,
every time.
You had to be there. You had to be there. No, yeah, it's just like the hot dog question. That's a woman thing. I don't know. I think eating it the way it does, it's just less messy or, less. I don't know. I would ask a woman that to see if they eat it like that. And if so, why? Because, yeah, that's a little different. But yeah, it was so funny watching her in this movie again. She was great.
Periodically, there would be... By the way, I love the soundtrack of this movie. All the songs sounded reminiscent, yet unfamiliar. Like, they would be B-sides of, hit songs. But then they sing Goodness Gracious, Great Balls of Fire, Jackée and Dangerfield out of nowhere. Then I love how it pans and they're actually in the car singing it. That was a great transition because at first you're like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
I left the love cause I thought it was funny. You came along and you moved me, honey. I changed my mind, this love is fine.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Kiss me, baby.
Ooh, it feels good.
Hold me, baby.
I want to love you like a lover should.
You're fine.
So kind.
I'm gonna tell her where you're mine. I chew my nails and I twiddle my thumbs. I'm real nervous, but it sure is fun.
Come on, baby, you're driving me crazy. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
In the 90s, you were allowed to do musical numbers without officially being a musical.
I love it.
And have that be a part of the movie. I don't know if they were actually singing in that car and they were just like, oh, wasn't that a fun sing-along? But yeah, they had a little fun. They were winning. They were celebrating. That's what it was.
Oh, Rob, this was the line. I finally found it. When she said that it looks like Norman Bates is playing soccer. That line. Oh, that was so funny. And I love it.
No, you know what line it was for me. So there was an earlier scene where Rodney Dangerfield had explained to Julie, who was Jackée's character, why he ended up, coaching soccer. And that whole thing was just funny. What? You going, what? Who you know about soccer?
What? You gonna coach what?
Take it easy, will ya?
What the hell you know about soccer?
Nothing, it just happened. I was kissing the boss's ass, his wife came in, I started kissing her ass. The next thing you know, they made me coaching the soccer team.
Well, did you get the promotion?
I'll get the promotion. All we have to do is bring home a championship team.
We? What you talking about, we?
I told them only you'll be my assistant coach.
Oh, that's great. Goodbye job, hello welfare.
Now, what could be so hard? There were champs last year, champs the year before. I can't miss it. It's a piece of cake.
But then he explains, he goes, I was kissing my boss's ass, and then his wife came in and I started kissing her ass, and all of a sudden I'm coaching football. So then when he goes to his first meet with the team, he finds out that their daughter, his boss's daughter, is a part of the team, who is played by Allison.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus, by the way. I just randomly said Allison earlier. She plays Allison in Hocus Pocus.
And so because she arrived late, and he yells at her, but once he finds out who she is, then he just lays out the red carpet for her and puts a towel down on the grass for her to sit on, and then Jackée says now he's kissing the daughter's ass.
There you go. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have had a bigger handkerchief,
Now he's kissing the daughter's ass.
I was laughing so much from that line, and then immediately transitions into the national anthem, which is another great joke. So they don't even give you time to breathe in this movie. I'm just telling you right now, this movie is so funny.
For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The song is over.
And it was Vanessa Shaw, by the way. It's Kimberly, but Allison in Hocus Pocus. Her thing is she kicks so high that it will go over the stadium, the walls. It goes into trucks.
Yeah, the goalposts and whatnot.
Goalposts.
Yeah, she could easily like play for football and be a kicker, because that was, yeah. The dad was like, son of a bitch.
I kept saying, like, this girl kicks really well. Like, they didn't see the potential in her kicks. But by the way, Radical Ones, 2 weeks in a row, we're going to be talking about sports movies because we're doing Luck of the Irish next week. This is hysterical because I know nothing.
I know nothing. No,
I was giving Rob the benefit of the doubt that maybe he knew more than me.
So
nothing.
You brought up the sports. So I want to talk about sort of the teen aspect of this movie. You've got a bunch of girls. They're all quirky. They all have their characters. They're all different in some way, but they all do not know how to play soccer. They're all new to the team, and they came in during a huge transition where they used to be the best soccer team out there. But now with all these new girls, Chester inherited a soccer team full of novice. And so a big thing that we are seeing here is that you're taking a bunch of underdogs into winners. We see that plot a lot with like Mighty Ducks and such movies. What do you think about plots like these? Was any of that like a grab for you when you watched this as a kid, or was it just Jackée and Dangerfield?
It was Jackée, honestly.
You didn't care anything about the soccer storyline?
Absolutely not. It was Jackée and the shenanigans, as Rob would say, of the situation where, like, I think it's that one scene where Jonathan Matthew, his character, is running up and down and he's just like flying down the stairs. That scene I liked because of the, it's like, oh, he's going to get caught. But it was Jackée, honestly.
Yeah, the storyline with the soccer team, it's not a bad one. I mean, it's used all the time. I like a really good underdog story, and of course, it's very uplifting when they win their first game, or they achieve something, or they, gain more confidence. And the transition of Matthew being able to be, I guess, more finesse when it comes to playing soccer with girls. His whole thing about utilizing everyone's strengths in different categories, I just thought was really good. And even Dangerfield was given a really nice moment with a character named Penny Pester, who saw herself as sort of a ugly duckling, and he has this really nice talk with her to get her to see the beauty that he sees in her, which could have easily turned into a heavy crush of a young girl liking an older man.
I've never seen you with your hair down. Let me see what you look like with your hair down. Okay, hold that thing here. Wow, what beautiful hair. Let me see with your glasses off, too. Will you take your glasses off? Oh, look at those brown eyes. You're cute as a button.
But what about my braces?
So what? Big deal, huh? You'll meet a boy who has braces. Then when you kiss, you'll see sparks. I'll tell you something, Penny Pester. If I was younger, I would definitely ask you for a date. And just my luck, you probably wouldn't even go out with me, huh?
Yes, I would, Coach Chester.
Come on, get over there with those girls. Go ahead, will you? Give those boys a break. Get over there.
Because she actually says, if you were older, which is probably where it would toe the line for people. But if you were older, whatever.
But she's later giving him looks like, I'm doing this for you, and she's like, but I mean, there are some really sentimental moments in here. But I think one of the biggest moments for me with this is Matthew notices that our goalie, Carmelita Chu, she loves butterflies, right? But she's always looking up in the sky rather than at the game, where where she's the goalie. And so he makes her center and decides to put butterfly stickers on the soccer ball so
Smart.
she'll have something to focus on. Now, do you remember Little Giants? The same thing happened when the little kid could not catch a football to save his life, but when it came to toilet paper rolls, he could catch those no problem. And so they would have him practice catching, toilet paper rolls to get him more in the game and to also vision the ball as a toilet paper roll, which helped him catch it. Those moments, I think, are just so clever when it comes to a kid's film, just channeling their imagination and adapting it into the world in order for them to adapt. And I just think that's really cool. I found those moments to be really fun.
It's almost like that summer school, the movie Summer School, where each kid has a quirk, but they're not really developed. They're developed enough for this movie to go by.
Yeah.
But you know what that made me think of? This is so random, Rob. But maybe I would be good with sports because all of my life, I am able to, and take it the right way, people, I'm able to catch things really well. I am a good catcher because...
Oh, you are? Okay.
Like, if you just be like, Ryan, and throw something across the room, I could catch it 9 out of 10 times.
It's that height. That's what it is.
You think? I don't know. Like, is that part of it? Maybe I don't know. But that's my thing. Like, if balls I can catch a lot of things. But
so for those who have not seen this movie, you said that really the soccer aspect of it really wasn't your bag. Would you say those scenes are boring?
Not at all, honestly. Actually,
okay.
I'm okay with it because it doesn't bother me. But I'm more invested, like I was saying, because Jackée is on the field usually in those moments. So I'm okay with the soccer.
You did mention the whole scene about the constant switching back and forth, and which causes the dilemma of playing two people at once, is that sometimes you have to be in two places and you have to kind of like go back and forth. This is a very typical run-on joke in these types of comedies. Yeah, they'll find some way for them to be in two places, whether it's two dances or two, concerts or whatever. Like, if you're supposed to be here, you have to constantly switch back and forth. Another thing that they would always do in movies like these is that there is a distinctive difference between men and women. And when you have a character cross-dressed, for some reason, those characteristics in their original gender is heightened to showcase that you would never see the opposite sex do this. And to make it simpler, there is a scene in the movie where he is officially dressed up in the dress, right? He's walking around the mall and he goes to a punching bag and starts punching it, and he's created this big audience who are in awe that a woman can hit a punching bag as well as he can. First of all, there's no indication that Jonathan Brandis' character Matthew could even do that himself, but the fact that he's dressed as a woman, let's give him a lot of powers or whatever and strength to showcase that, oh my god, we're looking at a man do this, but everybody thinks it's a woman. Oh my god. Whether it's like throwing a football with like massive speed and power just because he's dressed, it's just that to me is really, really tired. I don't like stuff like that. Not for the obvious reasons. I just think it's fake because they don't really set up them to be that strong and agile. And so all of a sudden, like, because women aren't supposed to be as such.
That was random just to show, like you said, a punching bag to begin with. I don't know. I wouldn't even think of that scene. Put that in that. But yeah, that was a weird way of setting that up. By the way, did you notice half the time, unless he was with Kimberly, Matthew just spoke in his normal voice, and I love that. Like, he's on the field. At first, I swear I didn't hear the voice put on until that one scene when Kimberly shows up at his house somehow.
Yeah.
But he was just like, catch the ball! That kid has a deeper voice than me still. Like, oh my god.
Kickoff.
Are you the captain?
Just calling a kickoff, sweetheart.
It was great. I was laughing.
The way that he was talking to them was just so like a man. And there was a couple of times where he changed his voice like over the phone or something. But he just whispered and then it just suddenly sounded like a girl, I guess. But it's just so funny that no one recognized him. In fact, this movie really wants you to suspend all disbelief because there were multiple people. Men who were dressed up in wigs pretending to be women. Now, the big final championship game, this other team looked like they bred, women in like a facility or a lab or something and just put them all on steroids. Some of those players were boys. I know this. And they just had the most horrible wigs you can think of.
Oh my God. And the coach was in this, like, I don't even know. It wasn't even it's supposed to be an ex-military, but he had, like, it was unzipped. It was like the zipper outfit.
Jumpsuit or whatever. It was so obvious. I don't even know if they were trying or if it was like a run-on joke to just point out that there are other people. There was even like a grown-ass man in the audience wearing like a church outfit you would wear on Sunday.
There was a lot of people in this audience that were dressed were doing funny things in the background.
Yeah.
Who is that man?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine, Mrs. Yarlick. He's not a stranger. He's just strange.
I do want to touch on Jonathan Brandis for a second.
Yes.
My God, was he such a handsome man. Oh my God, I miss him so much. Not just because of that, but he could act his butt off. I liked the guy. I
did too.
A really cool gentleman. I just enjoyed seeing him on screen all the time.
And he just happened to grow up to be extremely handsome.
Yeah. Please help me understand in what city and school district this movie was in that would tell Jonathan Brandis, Matthew, going around thinking that he wasn't hot enough to go up to a girl like Kimberly in school. Please help me out. You mean to tell me he's not the hot guy in the school? I really didn't get that. And then as shy as Kimberly was, I just was like, is she considered popular? Why are we not going
That's
up
the
to
thing.
talk to
She's
her?
rich. So they equated rich with being popular, but they did actually switch that with, unapproachable. That's exactly, Rob. But they did give Kimberly that thing to her. She's the opposite of her parents that drink champagne, by the way, on the soccer field.
Yeah, but I was just like, I don't know who told him he wasn't the hot kid in school. He should have had all the girls after him.
I guess that's endearing for his character, too.
I guess so.
Evidently, that was his mother, who, by the way, in that one scene with the reveal, when he says, I dressed in drag, too, when you see the mother from behind, classic mother 90s jean. Like, you will never see a more 90s jean. I think it's cinematic history.
What the hell's going on? I'd like to know.
Take it easy, will you? It's nothing. When I was a kid, I did the same thing. I should dress up like a girl, too. You know how kids are. They're always doing crazy things. You know, girls want to be boys, boys want to be girls, and some of them are.
Mom, Chester didn't mean any harm. He just wanted me to help him on the soccer team so we could get a winning team.
Matthew, go to your room.
But Mom,
go to your room.
I wanted to point out though that when he creates a scene for him to be noticed, his friend tells him to go along and catch a football, and she notices it and says nice catch, but he missed the opportunity to go up to her and keep talking. That's what his friend was like, keep going, just go and talk to her. I wanted to ask you, who has the better move? Is it Matthew or Max Dennison?
Actually, I will take, let me tell you right now, Max I'm taking.
Okay.
But I actually have to give it to Matthew because we didn't even see how he explained it to her off camera, he just pulled off the wig and it was fine for her. So he's got the moves.
That was one of my notes, is that everyone in this movie, including the girls on this soccer team, not one person had any moral stance on this boy cheating and being on this team and getting them to the championships. The moment he came out with everything, everyone was so cool with it. Oh my God, that's so cool you did this. Even his boss was okay that he cheated. Like, there's no moral compass in this at all. What did you think about that?
Well, do you love how the one girl who was the flashy girl early on, as soon as he takes the wig off, she starts adjusting her hair, like, because now he's a boy. My God, the thirst on that girl.
My name is Sally Ann Wellfelt, and I'm 12 years old, going on 13. My hobbies are ice skating and going shopping. And my favorite book is A Wrinkle in Time.
All right, okay, Sally Ann.
Turn-ons. Good-looking guys, music, good-looking guys, pizza, good-looking guys, staying up late, and good-looking guys.
Okay. Tell me, how many goals did you score last year?
Goals? None.
Do you know what's funny? The whole time, I always thought that she did that because she thought that she'd lose her hair, as if his hair was falling out. You're probably right, though. She was probably fixing it in front of him.
Oh, I hope so. I just didn't make that girl.
I honestly thought it was because she thought she was going to lose her hair like he did.
Well, radical one. I hope that's the way she did it. But it was just so funny. It was these worlds where, like Rob says, you have to suspend everything, that this is just like, this is what solves everything. Because we see by the end, it does solve it because the boss has started a team now with Rodney Dangerfield's character of all male.
Yeah, all male players. Yeah, playing in a girls' league. So let's not just do one player, let's do them all.
And it's funny, right? Because you see them on the bus, you're like, oh, he got a new job, and he's coaching a male. And in my head, I'm like, oh, he should do like a League of Their Own kind of thing. Go on the bus with that, and then all of a sudden they're getting off the bus, and you see them. They had the wigs on too. By the way, Jackée helped pick out that wig. She needs a promotion too.
So you brought up the mom earlier. I wanted to talk about that. So she's the only one that had a big impact in finding out what was going on. She felt very betrayed and lied to. First of all, do you think that she was overreacting? And second, if I were a mom and I saw my son, dressed up as a woman, walking down the stairs, apparently Chester knows what's going on, and the two of them are super silent, and they don't want to tell her what's going on. Can you imagine the thoughts in a mother's head? She must have been freaking out.
Like you said, that's the problem with being from this year now.
Yeah.
Because everything is like, I took it like that as soon as she saw it, I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna, because like, would you think that he's joining a soccer? That would be the least thing you would think about. He joined a soccer team?
I mean, well, there you go. You could just use that excuse to try and hide it, but no, but I'm just saying, it's like, it just hits different.
Oh, definitely.
Watching a movie like this
Definitely. I hate that that's the thing, but
do you think that she was overreacting, possibly breaking up the relationship the way that she just didn't want to talk to either of them? She used the word corrupt my son. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, that could be taken a different way too. That could be like, oh, you're trying to, corrupt him into doing it. Like, I would be upset in the moment, and I think after she listened to the son, maybe like if he really explained, like, Mom, this is what happens. He coaches an all-female, all-girls soccer team. I told you I was joining a team. Ha ha ha. Like it was really just not serious. But in the moment, Rob, I would have taken it that my child was being, and I would have been upset but I think I would have listened to it. I don't know if I would have believed it right away, but what about you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, the movie needed some kind of conflict, right? Everything was going perfectly up to this point, so we need some kind of conflict to overcome, and this was it. Unfortunately, we didn't get too much more of it. She forgave him immediately, and we didn't even get to see her really like analyze or self-reflect on what was going on. She just showed up at the game and was like, yeah, we're good because you won and all of that. So aside from Jackée Harry, what do you think would be sort of the biggest like pull from this movie? Like, what are people watching it for? Jonathan Brandis, or are kids watching it for the kid tone of it all, of the soccer team and winning games and such like that?
I don't think, unless you're a Jackée fan, a Rodney Dangerfield fan, or a Jonathan Brandis fan, but now the kid stuff it's like I said, it's enough for us to get the plot line and get like, oh, that's that girl, like,
yeah.
But other than that, no. So I think Dangerfield, I mean, he is a huge thing, like, so I think fans of that. But
and what do you think about Dangerfield's sort of one-liners and the way that he analyzes and associates sex with most of everyday life? I mean, there was a lot, he sees Matthew and he's like, yeah, don't stare at the TV too long, you'll strain your eyes. And then later on in other places, I will tell you today, I did not know what that joke meant back in the day. I had no clue, but now that I do, it's just like, what do you think about that type of humor? Do you think that adults can find that type of humor funny, or is it just tacky now?
I think at the time it was like, that was the style. And I think people did find, but even in this, like we were saying earlier, it literally just a joke to set up another joke. And that's okay. That was his thing. And I got to say, there were funny lines that I actually did find funny, and a lot of things like, and it was stupid things like almost with when they went to look at the house and he was just like, oh, well, the landscaper looked at this. He was
here before us, the Addams family. Yeah.
Who lived here before, the Addams family?
She said it was a very good deal. And look, honey, it's a 2-story house.
2-story house. Before you buy it, to give you one story. After you move in, you get another story. I never saw such beautiful landscaping. It looks like all the trees threw up.
Even when he hugged Mrs. Mullen, which I recognized from Head of the Class for the first time today. I'm like, oh, she was in Head of the Class. And he was just hugging her on the field. I could do without that.
Okay. What about when Dangerfield had to dress up as a woman himself to get Matthew out of a situation? What did you think about that? I mean, at some point we needed to see it.
You know what? That's so true. What's better than one when you can get two?
But yeah, like you, I have a sentimental thing about this movie.
Yeah.
I feel that if you miss the train, like it's not you can't hop
coming back to you on
You're
station.
Not. And that's the thing. It's like Ryan and I can talk very positive about this movie and why we enjoy it and why we can still laugh at it. But it is going to be very difficult to recommend this to anyone. Even if you're into that type of adult humor that Dangerfield delivers, it might be outdated humor or type of,
I think it was outdated at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even for him in the 90s, it was outdated.
Yeah. So, I mean, that type of comedy and delivery may not even hit regardless of what the joke is. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't recommend this, but I will still say that I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. I just think it's
Zigzag
funny.
like this, Rob. Zigzag like this. Not like this. No, she's like with her hands. Zigzag. That was so funny.
Yeah.
No, zigzag like this, you know? Kick, curve, kick, curve, kick, curve, kick. Got it. No, wait, girl. No, wait, girl. No, don't do it like me. No, don't do it like me. No, don't do it just like me. Take the ball. Get the ball. Get the ball.
And by the way, there was a cameo by the Oscar Mayer Wiener mobile that I don't know if it's still going strong, but it made a cameo.
Very retro. I also wanted to point out car phones. Oh my God. Did you have car phones in your car at all? We didn't. I mean, we had a cellular phone, but we did not have a car phone.
Never. When he pulled that out, I was like, oh yeah, 92. Okay, yeah, car phones in the car.
Yeah. The cordless phone that Martha used to call Chester from the Mullins house, I had that exact wireless cordless phone. That exact model.
I love that.
That exact model. And then, oh my God, so when they go shopping in that store where they get the dress, did you see all that neon and like starter raincoats and starter jackets? Wasn't that just 90s heaven?
Yes, I want to live there.
I
want to go there.
Go to that store. That was insane. The style was just so crazy. Yeah, that was a really good.
I ate it up. Give me neon. Give me those colors, Rob.
Yeah.
This is so random, but I just have to shout out to the milkshake guy in this movie. You worked at the milkshake bar. I thought you stole the scene. It's just Matthew's character Dangerfield's at the bar.
It's equivalent of an adult bar. He goes to a malt shop and gets drunk off of milkshakes, so he can share his, woes to the bartender. Yeah.
But he said you're going to spoil your dinner, and then he gives him advice about dating women. So I loved that scene. I thought that was so cute.
You're gonna spoil your dinner. Why don't you go on home?
No, I don't want to go home. Come on, give me another one.
Kid, the way you're drinking, you must have a girl problem.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Maybe I can help.
How could you help me?
With girls, I've been through it all. I've been stood up, shook up, hung up, screwed up, and tied up. What's your problem? Y'all have a fight?
No, we never fight. No, we get along great. We laugh together. We like the same music, the same sports. No, we get along just great.
Then what's the problem?
She don't know I'm a boy.
Kid, with this girl, I don't know what you're doing, but you must be doing it wrong.
I think we both really enjoyed it, but like Rob said, you have to have been there and you've had to have lived through it. I mean, I did enjoy myself from the start to the finish, so.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun watching this again. If I were to bring this up with anyone, I would, if they remembered the film, they'd be like, oh, a classic, or oh, yes, I remember this. And I'm sure everyone has their reasons as to why this movie stood out amongst all of them. But I did have a small conversation about this movie, and I had asked, like, what do you think about the plot point of doing cross-dressing to, disguise yourself to be A, B, and C. Do you continue to like that type of stuff if they were to continue to come out with movies like that? Or, or maybe it shouldn't be like a whole plot point, but maybe just like a funny gag in a movie. What do you think about today? Like, can we still watch comedies like that?
I
and
think
make
if
it believable.
Okay, so if it works for the plot, let's say if Charlie's Angels 3 came out now.
Oh yeah, they were in disguises all the time. So
right, and sometimes they would dress like a man. Okay, it's part of the plot. Like, I get that. That makes sense. I feel like right now you don't want to offend anybody, so I don't need any more.
Yeah.
Unless, okay, White Chicks 2 comes out then.
One thing that I would like to do at the end of each episode, if I'm on it anyway, on my Instagram page, I do have part of my reel recommendations if you did like the movie and recommendations if you did not. So I would like to go through them and, for anyone who really liked this film, I think that Back to School, starring Rodney Dangerfield, would be an excellent choice. Now, this is because you enjoy Rodney Dangerfield on screen and also the adult humor. My next recommendation, if you did like Ladybugs, you would also like Bad News Bears, and I'm talking about the original with Walter Matthau. I personally have never seen this movie all the way through, but this movie is very similar to having misfits become a winning team. It's a baseball team of boys, and you've got this, this very out of place coach who's been given the task to coach this baseball team, and he uses unorthodox ways to get them to play very well. If I remember correctly, they didn't do a gender swap, but they had someone who was clearly too old to be in the league pretend to be younger in order to win. Maybe one day we'll do Bad News Bears on here. And then another one for the soccer aspect as well as the child or young adult feel to it. I recommended The Big Green. Do you remember Big Green?
Oh, I was going to say, bend it like Beckham when you said soccer.
Yeah, The Big Green,
yes.
I again, associated with soccer. But it has sort of the... sort of a step up. I shouldn't say up, but a step sort of sideways with this humor. It's not like too Disney. It has a little bit of realism in it.
Yes.
To where, so Big Green, I think, is a wonderful film, wonderful soccer movie. Now, if you did not like this movie, but you are interested sort of in the whole gender swap type of plot, I am recommending Just One of the Guys. This is also PG-13. It has nothing to do with sports. However, it does have a woman dressing up as a man to accomplish a goal that she believes she couldn't do as a woman. So you still have the same type of plot, but just done differently. The humor is still pretty sexual, but this is a definite like heavy teens movie rather than it being like a child movie like Ladybugs. So I think this movie would serve this plot well, and it's done more with respect, I think, when it comes to gender swapping. Another one in the same sort of gender swap tone is She's the Man. She's the Man does it so much better in this movie than it does in Ladybugs. And coincidentally enough, in She's the Man, she also joins a soccer team. She is really, really good at soccer. So She's the Man is the best gender swap movie I've ever seen. Like, it is,
I liked it always.
It is so funny. It is so hilarious. So I definitely recommend She's the Man.
That's a good one. Yep.
Again, if you enjoy the all-girls cast and predominant female cast and also sort of the soccer feel, like you said earlier, I did recommend Bend It Like Beck. I think this is a beautiful film, great story, great character development. It's acted very well, and it's not as cheesy and possibly crude like Ladybugs was. So that is my recommendations.
I love this. So Rob has been mentioned on our last episode, he has been doing this on his account. And, well, Rob, where can the lovely people find you at?
On Instagram, I'm Rob the Movie Geek, or you can look up The Unique Geek. I am cataloging all the movies that I watch in 2023, whether I rewatched it or watched it for the first time. I just put up 15 to 30 second reels of my review of the movie by a point scale of 1 through 5. and I also give recommendations. All of these reviews are tied to my Letterboxd account under Rob's Rewind. So if you want to follow me on there and just go through the journey of what I've watched so far in 2023, have at it.
He's caught up because he did Seeing Double. Spoiler, didn't do well. So we will have Rob's links below in the description and the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, one word, on Instagram. We're also on YouTube if that's your thing. I know a lot of people listen on YouTube for podcasts. So.
And thank you for those listens.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So we will be back actually next week, like we said, with another sports movie. And this is a Disney one, a Disney made for TV one, Luck of the Irish. We're getting ready for St. Patrick's Day.
Yep, we sure are.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and I'm glad you gave me the right finger.
You're on top of the world. You're on top of the world.